a lot of the older generation seems to look down on social media, and I get it, right? Oh my God, there's a fire alarm.
Hey investors, Bradley here from Watson Estates. You're listening to the largest, fast growing podcast for Toronto real estate on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Now, if you follow our show, you know I love diving into the news, keep up to date on everything going on in our local market. Well, there's one story I've been purposefully avoiding over the last week, and it is because we have him today here on our show. His name is Austin Yeh. This damn 25-year-old boy decides to have the audacity to buy 20 properties in Southern Ontario. How dare you be successful? And Toronto Life held back nothing in critiquing all of the things he's doing and big players in our market. I'm talking the big boys, the ones that we quote all the time on our show, have so much out for this kid. And I felt so bad. I thought, you know what? You're going to come on the show. You're going to tell us the full story of how you've become so successful in the last couple years down in Windsor, investing in multifamily and joint venture partnerships. And he was more than happy to join it. He runs his own podcast as well. He's a smart cookie, and he has a lot to offer us here today. Enjoy the show. Hey, Austin, how are you?
Not too bad, man. Dealing with some heat, but that comes with the territory. How about you?
Hey, that's okay. If you're either deal with the heat or get out of the kitchen. In your case, you're staying in there and you're renovating said kitchen.
There you go.
I thank you for taking time to join us over on our podcast. I'm really excited because this story, and let me just read the headline because I'm sure people have heard of it. So the headline from Toronto Life was, I'm 25, live with my parents, and own 20 rental properties. Here's how I did it. And instead of just talking about you on our show, I wanted to talk to you and give you a platform to, I guess, simmer down some of this heat that you're getting. Maybe tell me a little bit about this story and how this has all kind of been playing out around you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you some background into what the story, like what the article says and what the overall story actually is, right? So basically the article kind of highlights on a high level how I got started in investing, which was ever since a young age. I was very frugal in nature. I would save all of my money up, right? My parents are blue collar workers, so minimum wage, a typical immigrant story, not going to get into all of that. But by the time I hit my first full-time job at RBC, I worked a bunch of internships, got scholarships, and I just wasn't satisfied with my life because I felt like I did everything right. My parents told me to study hard, get a scholarship, work good jobs. I worked in consulting, audit, all of that good stuff. But there was a sense of this can't be what life is all about, right? There has to be more than this. And I dabbled around in stocks, lost a couple of thousand. I was trading weed stocks at the time, which was obviously, we know that's not a good idea.
Anyone who is pretty trendy though.
Yeah, we shouldn't be chasing trends, as you know, as an investor, right? But I was chasing trends, and I ran across real estate investing, and Toronto was definitely out of my budget, being 23 years old at the time, having $40,000 saved up, again, through the frugality, saving money, not spending on anything. So I ended up running across Windsor, which was a very cheap market, and I purchased my first investment property there. Picked it up for $130,000, so $26K down payment, so that's a 20% down payment. Renovated it, refinanced it. After I refinanced it, I pulled my money out. The tenant paid 1 year rent up front, so that was another $26,000. So I actually had more money than I started off with. Wow. Did that again, and then did that again with a duplex. And pretty much at a certain point, I started raising capital. Investors got interested. They're like, who's this kid? What is he up to? How is he able to scale so quickly? Getting 3 properties within 6 to 7 months was unheard of for someone at my age. And building that credibility, people were just like, I have money sitting around. I don't have the time and energy as this kid, so I'm going to give him the money. And I held their mortgages initially because a lot of these people were tapped out because they owned their primary residence. But then as I continued to scale and I proved myself more credible as an investor, I started having more leverage. I was like, look, we're not going to partner unless you bring the money and hold the mortgage, right? And when we split the profits 50-50. Losses are also split 50-50. So if we sell the property and it ends up being a loss, we split that 50-50. But that's what really helped me scale, right? Like I really just got up to 3 or 4 properties myself. And then once the credibility hit in, a bunch of people started funding me money. And that definitely wasn't touched on in the Toronto Life article. They basically said this kid went from zero to 20 properties. That's it, right? And they focused on the highlights. It was an up and down journey. As any investor knows on this, who has been on the show or is listening to the show, real estate it's an up and down journey. But over the long term, if you can hold on, it's going to pay off in 10 times, right? But that's what the article really just focused on.
Yeah. And So where I've seen your article, where I'm hearing the buzz is, funny enough, to a lot of the people that are often quoted on our show as experts in our industry, there is a ton of flack. And I don't know how much of it kind of penetrates, because I know you're a super business-minded guy. You're looking forward, but there's been quite a bit of critiques and complaints. And now maybe it's the way the Toronto Life article was written, but the strategies you're employing, though done quickly in a market that's accelerating quite quickly, and especially in a place like Windsor, these are not unusual strategies. And actually, I think I got a ton of value. I love hearing some of the early on ideas, because I think many investors, myself included, have gone for years of different and doing different things, trying different things. But you seem to hit, you're more of a one-hit wonder. You hit it on the first one, and now you've got a system within a couple properties. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about this. I know many of our listeners are familiar with the BRRRR strategy, but tell us a little bit about what that process looks like and what makes what you do different and appealing to so many investors.
Yeah. So a big thing is that I'm still working full-time corporate, right? And I'm investing in a city that's 4 hours away from me. So by default, I have to learn to outsource, which is the toughest thing for investors. They try to get involved in every little thing. Right off the bat, I had to outsource. So with the first property, I outsourced the deal hunting, which is something now I don't outsource, because I think deal hunting is the most important part. You want to be somewhat involved in the process at the very least. And I outsourced contracting, property management, but I didn't do any of my due diligence. So I was just hiring it out to random people, and I got screwed over. They were taking me for rides because they knew I was 4 hours away. I didn't vet them out properly. So I ended up overpaying. Renovations took double the time, but things still worked out. As you were saying, that Windsor was an appreciating market at the time. So I can't say I had any special intelligence buying my first property. It just happened so the market was on fire, and I was able to refi within 3 to 4 months. But I took those as learning lessons, right? So kind of what I do now is that the analogy I like to give is that you talk to Bill Gates, right? When he was CEO of Microsoft. If you were to ask him, like, how are you maintaining the revenues in your store in Yorkdale? He's going to be like, I hire it out to the right people. I have nothing to do with it, right?
Right.
Same thing with my business is that I'm not hands-on there. I'm not an expert at construction. I'm not an expert at property management. I know how to do these things on a high level, but by no means I can go down to Windsor and do it myself. So what I'm an expert at is putting teams together and managing these teams. So what I do is I speak to other investors local to that area. I build relationships. I speak to people like yourself. I'm sure you have a rock star contractor, property management, and stuff that you can hand over to your investors. I speak to those people like that in the Windsor region, and I get a list of 4 or 5 contractors, from investors, from agents, and then I interview them. So that's how I've been going about it more recently. And as you were mentioning, my strategy is the BRRRR strategy. So I like to focus on buying undervalued properties that are untaken care of, because those properties generally don't attract first-time home buyers. They stray away from fixer-uppers, but it is definitely a cash cow for people like us who are investor-minded and investor-savvy. So I pick these properties up below fair market value. I do strategic renovation. So very basic stuff. We're talking about paint, flooring, new light fixtures, maybe adding another bedroom, creating an open concept layout, just putting my hat, putting my thinking hat in the perspective of a first-time home buyer. What do they want to see in a property? And I renovate it to that standard, take it to the bank and say, hey, Mr. Bank, what is this property worth? The bank walks in there and says, you picked it up for 100, but this property is now worth $200,000, right? Just by making small strategic renovations. And what happens is I now say that this property is worth $200,000. So let me pull that money out. Let me refinance it. And during this entire process, I'm cash flow positive. So that's another big thing that people in the article kept on pointing out. They're like, this guy can't serve. I don't know why people think I have 0% equity. How, like, that doesn't even make sense. How can you buy a property with 0% equity?
Who are the lenders? Are you going to A lenders for every single property you're doing here?
Yeah, so I'm going with A lenders. So the logic behind that is that typically I work with Scotia and RBC. Scotia has been the most lenient to residential real estate investors. Yeah. What I found out is that there's kind of a rule of thumb. Of course, confirm with a mortgage broker. But the rule of thumb is that if your rental income is double your mortgage payment, so if my mortgage payment is $500 and I'm renting it out at $1,000 plus, it actually helps your borrowing capacity. So Scotia, every rental property I got, Scotia's like, you can qualify for even more than you began, right? And I was at a point where Scotia is like, yeah, you're not going to be disqualified because of your income. You're going to be disqualified by the 10 property cap. You're not able to hold more than 10 properties with Scotia is what they told me.
Right.
So pretty much I had never had an issue with financing because my rental income was so strong relative to the debt I was taking on. So it ended up allowing me to borrow even more and more and more.
Yeah, and which is part of this benefit of being in these outskirts suburb communities. Wait till COVID happens to recognize there's a cash flow opportunity out there. You did it a couple of years ago, and you're just ahead. I think it's fabulous that you're working with these big banks like Scotiabank. And I completely agree. From what I did read of that article, it seemed to be very unfair. It's like, this guy's not coming up with 100% money here. This guy is getting a mortgage. And we all know with the stress tests and all the challenges that are facing that today, that's harder than ever. So the fact you're able to do that, there should be a bit of a rubber stamp, at least with fellow investors. But I think what that goes to show you is in our industry, we're very much led by the real estate agent, the affordability, and there's a lot of like really just following TREB stats. And I think it's more important for us to take an investor perspective on it, because this is where the money is. This is where a lot of our listeners are. And a lot of them can relate to what you're doing. Just so happens you're 25. And so you take a hit. But I mean, our guest last week, we had Adrian on the show. Within 10 years, he's built a portfolio of tens of millions. I can't remember the exact size now. Go back and check that out. But all of these people are pulling these same maneuvers, right? The joint venture partnerships. And now so to bring it back here, with COVID and with all the challenges you say of networking, and even before the show, we were talking a little bit about that. What are some of the creative ways now you've gotten really involved? I know you're doing your podcast, which we'll definitely talk about on the show, but what are some other ways you're getting, you're connecting with high top performers in these parallel industries?
So exactly what you said, social media and leveraging it. I know a lot of people look down on social media, and I actually deleted social media before real estate. Believe it or not, even though I'm really present on it now, I understand what the value of social media is for from a business perspective, right? People are engaging on social media. You can follow other people, follow their journey. So that's a big way. I follow investors like yourself or other people I run across, and I message them and try to connect. So that's my number one way. Second way is that I organize a meetup, and that in itself kind of brings a community of investors together. We mastermind, share ideas, connect with each other, ask questions, and joining groups is a great way to connect with other investors. So one thing that I do tell everyone is that go on meetup. If you want to invest in Kitchener, go on meetup.com, search Kitchener Real Estate Investing. There's probably a group there. Go to Facebook, search Kitchener Real Estate. It's probably a group there, right? Like, and I just join these different groups and I get engaged with the community. But I just leverage social media to connect with other people, because now there's no possible way we can meet up with people unless it's in small groups, of course. But even to that, like if you're meeting someone the first time, you're not going to be able to convince them to come out during this entire situation. So just really leverage social media, join different groups, join masterminds. That's how I've been connecting with investors and continuing to grow my relationships.
Yeah, wonderful. And that's all fantastic advice. And I think it's really that little bit extra step. Like, it's not just about, going out and depending on what side, if you're looking for joint venture partners or you yourself are looking to invest, finding partners, it's not just about running out and looking for something, but actually building relationships. It's not just about getting the money, but doing business with someone that you like and trust. There's no shortage of money once you start to circle into the investing world. The challenge comes on the side of deals and property analysis and running a successful system, which you guys have clearly been able to accomplish out in Windsor. So let me ask you, as we kind of like, if someone was considering investing, maybe they're new or they're looking to get involved in real estate more and not just buy a house or downsize or whatever, but actually get serious about investing, what are some words of wisdom back in when you were just starting out that you would give to those people? Things that maybe you've done things perfectly, or maybe there's a couple things that you think you wish if you could go back, you'd make an adjustment.
Yeah, so the first thing I would do is that educate yourself on fundamentals of real estate. I find that a lot of investors just want to buy properties and figure things out later, kind of like what I did at the beginning. That's not the best case. You should definitely educate yourself. And the book I recommend investors to read is that it's called The Book on Investing in Rental Properties. I know, very creative name. And it's written by Brandon Turner of Bigger Pockets. They're huge in the US, not as much in Canada. But I find that as kind of the Bible of real estate investing. It tells you what cash on cash return is, why appreciation is important, how to strategically renovate, all of the 101s of real estate investing. Once you read that book, like the second thing I would do is connect with other people, right? Connect with other investors, because real estate, you never want to be a lone wolf. You want to have people there to support you and motivate you. If you're doing it alone, chances are, from my experience and what I've seen, is at a certain point, you might eventually quit, or there's only a certain point you can reach, and you're going to find trouble to kind of get past that because you're limiting beliefs. So I would join other investor groups and get to mastermind and network with other investors. And then thirdly is that start building your power team. And how you do that is you talk to other experienced investors, right? other experienced investors are working with rockstar agents. They're working with rockstar contractors. That's how they were able to achieve their level of success. And in Toronto life, too many people are, and this is the crab in the bucket mentality. I don't blame people, because this is, if I wasn't investing in real estate, I would have the same exact mindset. But we focus on, this is impossible. This kid's lying. He's laundering money. I've seen those comments. His parents are multimillionaires funneling him deals. Instead, what you should ask yourself, and this is a hard concept for people to build in their mind, is that, how do I get there? What did he do? How can I connect with this person to learn from him and try to leverage that in my own business, right? These are the questions I ask. I don't say things are impossible. I say, how can I do it if someone else did it?
Yeah. No, for sure. And I would encourage, I'm assuming there's probably already a wide number of people that overlap in our podcast. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about your podcast, because I think this is a great platform for people to learn as a starting point, beyond just learning about what's happening in the market. I think a lot of people come through that filter. They come to us in our podcast and say, hey, what's happening in the market? What's my condo going to do next month? And they end up quickly realizing it's not about what your condo does next month. It's about making as much money as you can in real estate, a fixed asset that's set to just get to new levels in the coming years. And podcasts like yours are that next level, right? You're able to educate and inform investors on how to really scale their business. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Maybe some of the fun stuff you guys have accomplished on that show?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, before I even get to that, like what you said is super key. And I don't think it's going to resonate with people, but real estate's not a get rich quick scheme, right? There's articles like the ones that was published, like mine, which makes it appear like it's a get rich quick scheme, but it's definitely not. And I do kind of dislike the media for kind of, and I played a part of this, right? But kind of putting that to light and saying that this is the standard that you should reach, right? As exactly what you're saying, it's, who cares what happens within the next 3 or 4 months? Like, if the market appreciated by 2 times, would you sell that condo? No. So if price is gonna drop by 2 times, like, why are you gonna sell it? You were in this for the long term. But it's just that people have trouble kind of sitting through the tough times. But yeah, all that to say, well, not even to say. Now let's talk about the second half with the podcast. Yeah, I mean, the podcast was something that I started up, I want to say a month and a half, 2 months ago. And it was really just because I didn't feel like there was any podcast out there from a young person's perspective, because I am a millennial. I'm in my 20s and I'm kind of investing in real estate to escape the rat race to 9 to 5. Don't think there was anything tailored there. And a lot of people have the same mutual feelings as me. A lot of my friends do. A lot of people I speak to, they complain about their job, right? But it's such a taboo subject to talk about it publicly. And for me, I think I'm blessed in the sense that I've done well enough in the real estate journey that I feel like I have the freedom to talk about whatever I want. And it's, if it costs me anything along the way, I'm okay. I'm okay. Financially, I'll be doing all right. But and I just want to share the journey of other investors, share my thoughts, share as exactly what you were saying, the fundamentals of real estate, how people can get inspired to take action or grow their portfolio. And that's what my podcast is all about. And I just want to say kudos to you on your podcast. Like, I started listening to it right when the first episode came out, and I didn't reach out to you until, like, I want to say a month ago. But your podcast has been, it's really kept me grounded as well. Because during COVID, like, I was going to poop my pants. I was like, what's going on? What's happening? But you were just like, you were saying things that a lot of people were disagreeing with at the time. Even in my head, as I was disagreeing with, like, it proved true. Right? Like, a lot of the things that you said actually panned out. You're like, guys, like, calm down. Don't worry about it. Give it some time. We don't know where things are going to go. CMHC is just putting headlines out there. And it's exactly true. Like, your new episode said it's not even relevant anymore. A lot of the analysts said it's not relevant, but you need to listen to other people out in the industry to kind of keep level headed. And my podcast, I hope that's one way of doing that as well, from the real estate fundamentals point of view.
Absolutely. And thank you for taking what was said and what you've learned along the way. And you've turned it into, you're making me like teary eyed. I love comments. I say on my show all the time, I love getting comments. This is just one more way to speak. It's a two-way conversation, really, with our guests now, but also with our audience. And I do encourage everyone to listen. So it's called Rise Podcast, right? Is there any?
It's called the Rise Real Estate Investing Podcast.
That's it. The Rise Real Estate Investing Podcast. I encourage you guys, go check it out, especially if you're listening on any podcast channel. Go take a peek there, guys. You're going to learn some stuff. It really is like a puzzle. You put the real estate market on one side, you put the investing side on the other side, and you've got almost a complete picture of what you can expect from our market. In fact, most of the information, in the same way as what you're saying, when I looked at the landscape, it seems to be bigger pockets and American sources that are really telling us where to be successful in our marketplace. There's very few voices around here. And so having another voice in the room has been incredible. It's been great for me. And I know I look forward to seeing when your episodes pop out as well, because I learned stuff along the way as well. So is there any other platforms that our audience could find you? If they have any questions or they want to reach out to you, or how are they best to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so the best way is on Instagram at Austin Yeh 6, AUSTINYEH 6. You can go ahead and follow the Rise Network event on Instagram as well, RISENETWORK event. Click there, and there's links to every single one of my other social media platforms. So I'm not going to go into that.
No, fantastic. Yeah. And Austin's very involved on Instagram. Like you guys post story content constantly. You take it to another level. So that's
a little bit too much, but yeah.
No, it's good. It keeps you top of mind. So, all right. Well, Austin, thanks again for taking time to explain to us a little bit more about what Toronto life missed in our article. And we look forward to seeing where your journey takes you in the next few years.
Really appreciate it. This was fun. Thanks so much, Bradley.
Thank you.